Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources, could be articles, research papers, maybe some notes we've made, and we really try to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you.
Exactly.
Today we're diving into something really fascinating, the genetic story of Chile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a simple mix, is it? It's more like this incredibly rich biological tapestry, woven over centuries of migration, conquest, cultural fusion. It's quite a story.
It really is. And our mission here, in this deep dive is basically to give you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed on this.
Right.
We pull out the surprising facts, the insights that maybe challenge what you thought you knew, and we're drawing on a whole collection of scientific findings, genetic studies, all shedding light on Chile's unique genetic profile.
Okay, so let's get into it. When scientists look closely at Chilean DNA, what's the big picture they see? You mentioned this blend.
Yeah, the sources consistently describe it as this really rich mix, primarily European, Indigenous, and also, interestingly, definite traces of African ancestry.
It really is like every thread in that tapestry tells part of the story, doesn't it? Centuries of people moving, interacting.
Precisely. And what's really compelling is how they can actually quantify this blend to some extent.
Okay, so there are numbers.
There are. For instance, one big study calculated the average genetic mix in Chile as roughly 52% European, about 44% Native American, and around 4% African.
Wow, okay. So 52, 44, 4%.
Yeah, and these numbers, they're not just statistics, are they? They really paint a picture of Chile's history, like a crossroads where these different global migrations met and mingled.
And I noticed you said average. I guess it's important to remember that these figures aren't exactly the same in every single study.
That's a crucial point. No, you'll see variations. Other estimates might put European ancestry a bit higher, maybe 57% up to even 68%.
Okay.
And Indigenous ancestry might range from, say, 32% to nearly 39%. The African ancestry tends to stay lower, usually under 6%, but it's consistently there.
So it suggests more of a spectrum, really, than one single fixed recipe.
Exactly, a spectrum. And adding another layer here, this mix isn't even uniform across the country.
Ah, okay. So it varies geographically, too.
Definitely. Which tells its own story, right?
Yeah.
In some parts of the North and also the South, indigenous genetic markers can actually go above 50%.
Higher than the average.
Yeah. Whereas the central regions often show a stronger European influence. It really highlights how different parts of Chile had different historical experiences, different settlement patterns.
Almost like different regional patterns within that bigger national tapestry we talked about.
That's a perfect analogy.
So thinking about those patterns, where do these main genetic threads originate? Let's start with the European side.
Right. Well, the European ancestry, as you might expect, is strongest among descendants of the Spanish conquerors and the early settlers.
Makes sense.
And the sources get quite specific, actually. They often point to Andalusian, Extremadurian, and Basque lineages being particularly significant.
So from specific regions in Spain.
Yeah, reflecting where many of those initial Spanish explorers and colonists came from, they sort of laid the primary European genetic foundation.
Okay. And then on the indigenous side.
Yeah.
That must have much deeper roots.
Oh, absolutely. Deep and ancient. The indigenous component is overwhelmingly Mapuche. They're the largest group.
Right.
But there are also significant contributions from other groups, like the Aymara, especially up in the north. Each brings its own distinct genetic legacy. It's this really rich pre-Columbian tapestry that existed long before Europeans arrived.
You mentioned the Mapuche being the largest group. Our sources highlighted something pretty remarkable about their history, didn't they? Something about isolation.
Yes, that's fascinating stuff. Researchers figured out that the Mapuche genetically diverged from other populations in the southern cone.
So like southern Chile, Argentina,
Yeah.
that area.
Exactly. They split off over 4,000 years ago.
4,000 years. That's incredible.
It is. And that kind of deep genetic history, that relative isolation for such a long time, it tells you a lot about their unique lineage and resilience. They're one of the most ancient, distinct groups in the Americas.
How do researchers even pinpoint something like 4,000 years ago? Is it specific genetic markers?
Yeah, often it's through unique genetic markers that accumulate over time, indicating a long, separate evolutionary path. But what's also interesting is that even with that long isolation, it wasn't absolute. There's evidence of some genetic and even linguistic influence coming in, maybe via the Andes, trickling down from the central Andes region.
Ah, okay. So mostly isolated, but not completely cut off.
Right. It shows how even distinct lineages are part of a larger dynamic human story. It kind of challenges simple ideas about, pure or totally separate groups.
That historical background paints a really vivid picture, but our sources also touch on something much more recent and maybe a bit, well, unsettling.
Yes.
A potential link between this genetic ancestry and social dynamics today, specifically social status.
That's right. It's definitely a sensitive area. And like I said, we need to be really clear here. Our aim is just to report what the studies and sources are suggesting, not to, endorse any particular viewpoint.
Absolutely, just presenting the findings. So what did they find?
Well, one specific study looked at a data set of 1,805 individuals. And in that group, they observed a correlation.
Right.
European ancestry, which was about 44% in that particular sample, seemed to be associated with indicators of higher social status.
And conversely,
Mapuche ancestry, which was around 36% in the group, and Aymara ancestry, about 17%, showed a correlation with lower social status.
and that held up even when they accounted for other factors.
Apparently so. They controlled for things like age, gender, and even the region the person was from, and the correlation still seemed to be there.
What about the African ancestry component? It was smaller, right?
Yes, around 3% in that specific data set.
Yeah.
But even that small percentage showed what the researchers called a tentative link to lower social status as well.
Wow. Okay, so these findings, they definitely, as the sources say, raise some really crucial questions, don't they? Again, without us taking sides.
Absolutely crucial questions. It forces you to ask,
Yeah.
could genetic ancestry itself somehow be reinforcing stereotypes or even directly impacting socioeconomic outcomes? Is that what's happening?
Are we maybe missing the bigger picture?
Exactly. Or are we overlooking the perhaps more fundamental drivers, things like systemic inequality that might be tied more to culture or geography or institutional biases that have existed for a long time?
It's incredibly complex.
It is. And again, our goal here is just to explore what the sources themselves are putting forward to understand the ideas being discussed.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, it seems really clear that Chile's genetic makeup isn't just, dry scientific data.
Not at all.
It really is a living story, isn't it? It speaks volumes about huge themes: conquest, resistance, social mobility, exclusion, continuity, change, all woven together.
Yeah, and hopefully understanding this sparks more than just curiosity. It should maybe prompt a deeper, more nuanced conversation about identity, about belonging, about how societies are structured.
So maybe a final thought to leave everyone with. What do you think? Can someone's genetic heritage realistically still influence social dynamics today?
Mm-hmm.
And how should we view ancestry? Is it heritage? Is it maybe sometimes a burden?
Yeah.
Is it a source of pride? Could it be all of those things at once?
And maybe even personally, how would finding out about your own deep ancestry affect your sense of who you are?
Lots to think about. We really encourage you to keep exploring, keep thinking about these really complex and often very personal topics.